হেন প্রভু কোথা গেলা আচার্য ঠাকুর। कहा मोरा स्वरूप रूप कहा सनातन। कहा मोरा स्वरूप रूप कहा सनातन। कहा दास रघुनाथ पतित पावन। कहा दास रघुनाथ पतित पावन। कहा मोरा भट्ट जुग कहा कबीरा। कहा मोरा भट्ट जुग कहा कबीरा। एक काले कोता गेला गोर नटरा। एक काले कोता गेला गोर नटरा। पाषाणे कुटिब माता अनले पशिब। पाषाणे कुटिब माता अनले पशिब। गौरांग गुणेर निधि कोथा गेले पाबो। गौरांग गुणेर निधि कोथा गेले पाबो। Oh, Sheshabha Sangira Sange Jai Koilo Bilas Sheshanga Sangira Sange Jai Koilo Bilas Sheshangana Paya Kande Narottamada Sheshangana Paya Kande Narottamada Jayanilo Premadhana Koruna Prachur Heno Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where is such a personality as Srinivasa Acharya gone? Where are my Swarupa Damodara and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunatha Dasa, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunatha Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishnadas Kaviraja? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottama Das simply weeps. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. As I said before, today is the disappearance day of Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, one of the prominent acharyas, one of the 6 Goswamis, Vrindavan. So as we know, specifically, for the Vaishnavas, both the appearance and the disappearance are equally laudable, or equally we worship it, we celebrate it, because the Vaishnava, by his presence and by his apparent absence, they are always there here with their instructions, and always they give their blessings by bestowing their causeless mercy on the conditioned souls. And specifically, these are very powerful days. On these days, when we really submit ourselves and offer our prayers, and they hear it, and It helps us to make progress in Krishna consciousness, helps us to be focused in our mission in serving Guru and Gauranga. And Krishna is very pleased when his devotees are glorified. And so we see that often in the Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and other literatures, how Krishna is extremely pleased when his devotees are glorified. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami is, as we were hearing recently the Sikshashtaka seminar, so the acharyas in our parampara, they are very intimate devotees of the Lord. So we can see some of them are the Manjaris. So it is, well, there are two opinions. One of the opinions, it says that he is the Guna Manjari, and also Kavi Karnapur also he points out that it's also mentioned that he is Ananga Manjari. Ananga Manjari is sister of Srimati Radharani. So that is his eternal identity. And we see Gopala Bhatta Goswami, his background, he hails from the South India, from Srirangam. So his father is Venkata Bhatta, who is one of the prominent devotees in Srirangam at the time. They were worshipping there are thousands and thousands of Brahmanas who were serving the Srirangam temple, and so they were also one of the devotees who were very much devoted their life in the worship, in study of scriptures, and in propagating Krishna consciousness. Specifically, it is mentioned that he appeared in, there are again a couple of opinions, 1500 and another say 1503, his appearance in Srirangam. And specifically, we have to mention about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to Srirangam. So after his brother left Vishwarupa, he left this world, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came for the South Indian travel. So when he was coming down south and during the Chaturmasya time, he stayed in Srirangam for 4 months. And specifically, it has been a tradition for a long time that whenever sadhus travel, whenever sadhus visit a place, it's a tradition that the Brahmanas invite them. They give a facility for them to stay, and then they serve them. They serve them with prasadam and like that. So Srirangam already is a very vibrant place. Already for years, great worship of the Lord is going on, and the Brahmanas used to recite so many suktas, and they were all in glorification of Srirangam. Already it's a very vibrant place, and then suddenly there appears Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, with his beautiful Gai Gaura Madhurshware. So with the beautiful chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he appeared, and all the people were completely stunned to see him. His expressions, his expressions of love, the Ashta Sattvika Bhav, and then all those things stunned him, and also his effulgent personality, golden complexion. Everybody was stunned to see who is this sannyasi here. And Venkata Bhatta was very impressed, and he was completely captivated by the Lord's beauty, and he wanted the Lord to come and stay in his house. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kindly accepted, and he stayed there. He stayed in Venkata Bhatta's house, and so he was there for 4 months, and then he used to visit the temple. He used to go around performing Sankirtana and like that. And so Gopala Bhatta is Venkata Bhatta's son. He was a very small boy, and in that tender age, what a great fortune, for a small boy to associate with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was used to serve the Lord, and also used to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also very affectionate to him. Whenever he comes, he used to put him on his lap, and then used to be very kind to Gopala Bhatta. And also, what more a person can get, he used to get the remnants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He will personally give whatever he left from his whatever he ate, whatever he left, he used to give it to Gopala Bhatta. And of course, Gopala Bhatta Goswami is not an ordinary person. They are all great personalities. But still, the principle we should not forget service to the great personalities, and also taking their remnants. These are very, very powerful ways by which one can make advancement in spiritual life. So the Bhagavatam explains Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishavanad. How does the shloka begin? Shushusho Shraddha Dhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi. Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishavanad. So for someone to develop taste for hearing about the glories of the Lord, glories of Vasudeva, it all begins with sincere service to the great Mahat, the great personalities. So that is the underlying principle. So by serving pure devotees, what happens? Our all the anarthas in our heart is vanquished, and also we acquire their qualities. We acquire their great qualities, and in turn, it helps us to pay rapt attention to the message of the scriptures, specifically Srimad Bhagavatam and like that. So that is the secret. So it's many times we see people would just like to read, or they would like to be on some kind of a intellectual platform or on the platform of the mind, but actually the real spiritual life begins of course, by chanting the names, by hearing and all those things, but also rendering service to the Vaishnavas. So by rendering service to the Vaishnavas, one, we immediately we submit ourselves. Krishna also very clearly emphasizes in the Bhagavad Gita the principle by which the knowledge is actually transferred is tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshanaha. So from the tattva darshi is actually how the knowledge is transmitted. It's not that you hear, but also very submissively render service to them, and also you ask your inquiries in a very submissive spirit. So pariprashnena tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. These three things are very important, and we can see in the Vedic culture. So this was inculcated. Now we see also how Srila Prabhupada used to encourage. Srila Prabhupada's father used to encourage his son. Whomsoever sadhus came to his house, he used to always request them to give some blessings to his son, and also he was always encouraging him to render service. So this service is a very, very key factor in one's life. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami got a great opportunity. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's all as Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport of the Bhagavad Gita, by the divine arrangement of the transcendental system, two great personalities meet. So like that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally, so he knew what he wanted to establish. So he wanted to pick up Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So he came here, he spent some time, he gave his association, and he inspired the entire family. Venkata Bhatta, his wife, Thirumal, there was another brother of his brother, right? So Thirumal, there was another devotee, and also Prabodhananda Saraswati, he was also there. So he was a sannyasi in the Sri Vaishnava line, also very, very very well read, who was very much, he knew the conclusions of the scriptures, well studied all the Vedas, and was very much proficient in rhetoric, poetry, grammar. And in fact, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, when the small boy, he went to Prabodhananda Saraswati for studies. So he learned grammar and everything, and also specifically on devotional literatures. He studied under Prabodhananda Saraswati. So this was one other thing. And also, when Gopala Bhatta was a small boy, actually, he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then later, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him instruction to go to Vrindavan. And we will come back to that. So when, of course, we know this in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a very elaborate detail of how Venkata Bhatta, he had, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to, a very joking way, he used to ask him, why your Lakshmi did not come and participate in Vrindavan. So those Rasa Vichar and Tattva Vichar, so both the things on the basis of Siddhanta, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established how in terms of Rasa, the gopis tending to Krishna is on a very higher platform. So and all as the three Vaishnavas, Venkata Bhatta, Prabodhananda and Thirumal, they were all very much convinced after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's explanation of the the rasa vichar and the tattva vichar, and establishing how Krishna is all attractive and he's very captivating. So after so almost the end of the Chaturmasya time came, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to leave Sri Rangam, and it was a really it was a great pain for Venkata Bhatta and Gopala Bhatta like that. So it is explained, it is mentioned that he extended his stay for 2 more days. All he could do is extend the stay for 2 more days, and specifically gave instructions to Gopala Bhatta. He said that, so you serve your parents, and then after serving your parents, you come to Vrindavan. You go to Vrindavan. So Gopala Bhatta took it very seriously. So he studied the scriptures. He was very much he very much served his parents, and his parents were also, they were very happy. They really wanted to send Gopala Bhatta to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So and then later at one point of time, their instruction was given when their parents left this world. So Gopala Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta Goswami went to Vrindavan, and when he went to Vrindavan, he met Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. He was quite young, and still they took care of him very nicely. And also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had passed the message that Gopala Bhatta Goswami from South India will be coming, so please take care of him. So the moment Gopala Bhatta Goswami had been in Vrindavan, he was the message was sent to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, so those days there was no email or WhatsApp message or like that. So a person has to all the way travel from Vrindavan to Puri, and always there were some devotees who always used to go from Puri to Vrindavan. So that when the message came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately, he was so pleased, he was very happy. So he sent, as a token of reciprocation, he sent him his personal garments. He gave his kopin, he gave his uttariya, and also a choki or a wooden plank where he used to sit. So this was sent to Gopala Bhatta Goswami. So that was mentioned. Oh, one other interesting thing I forgot to mention. See, it's again a very important thing. So traditionally, whenever the sannyasis or other, or we also do here. So that was a tradition which was followed from so many hundreds and thousands of years. When a sannyasi comes, you wash your feet. They wash his feet, and then you take it's also the Charnamrita, the water that has washed his feet, you drink it. So with great devotion, it is mentioned that with great devotion, Venkata Bhatta and his family members, they took the prasadam, that was the water that was washed. So and also Bhagavatam specifically mentions, if you hear the story of Narada Muni, in serving the Bhakti Vedantas, he shares his experience. He says, Uchishta lepan anumodita dvijaihi sakritsma bhunje tadapasta kilbishah evam pravrittasya vishuddha chetasas tadharma evatma ruchi prajayate. This is again, as we discussed the point before. So by serving the Vaishnavas and specifically taking the remnants of their remnants, what actually happens, it is mentioned that the Uchishta Lepan, the remnants of the great personalities, Sakritsma Bhunje Tadapasta Kilbishah, all the Kilbishah means all the sinful proclivities and all those tender, whatever that was remaining, everything is completely vanquished, everything is destroyed. So always devotees eager, they are very eager to get the remnants of the food that is taken by pure devotees. So not for taste or other things, but just that's the principle, that by just taking you get the mercy of them. There, that's the whole point. So Narada Muni very clearly he mentions this point, and then he says that my heart became purified, and he says that I was by honoring that, I became even more attracted to these great personalities, he says. Because it is natural that as we were hearing the Sikshashtaka seminar also, as and when the heart is further being purified, what happens? Then we are being situated in our constitutional position. And in our constitutional position, our relationship with Krishna becomes more, we are more connected, we are perfectly situated in our pure devotional line. So that's the whole point. So So this is the point. So Gopala Bhatta Goswami. So after having had all this experience, that spirit of renunciation also kindled in him after their parents left. So with great respect and veneration, so Gopala Bhatta Goswami took the prasada that was sent by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he used to worship his deities, and with great respect he honored the prasadam. And actually there is, I'll come back to this little later. There is not much of details about Gopala Bhatta Goswami's life history is being mentioned. There are reasons for that. We will come for that. And this is something amazing how we all know the Shad Goswamis, everyone had their own worshipable deities. So how the deities were manifested for specifically for Srila Gopala Bhatta Goswami was mind blowing. Once there is a little history also. He had when he went to Vrindavan, it's mentioned that he had been to Gandaki once to as a pilgrimage. I think he had been to Gandaki, and when he was taking bath in the Gandaki, so there was he dipped himself, and then he had his thing of something like kamandalu. So he was putting his kamandalu inside, and then when he put the kamandalu and then took out, he saw there were 12 shaligram shilas that was there in his kamandalu. So then he was, what is happening? So he was just thinking, and then he left the shilas back inside the river. So again he was dipping, and then again second time he was trying to fetch the water. So again he saw the 12 shilas were getting inside it. So again he dropped it, and again third time when he was trying to fetch, again the 12 shilas were inside his kamandalu. So he understood that this is the plan of the Lord. So the Lord wanted manifesting to him like that. So then he brought, and then he was worshipping the shilas. And as we all hear that all the Goswamis sometimes they used to carry those shilas. What was his residence? There was no residence. They were always used to sleep under different trees. Well, also Srinivasa Acharya in his Shad Goswami Ashtakam, he mentions that Tyaktva Turnam Asesha Mandalapati. What was their mood? Their mood was they left everything, and they were not particular about where to stay and what are the comforts that they will get, what they will get to eat. So this is Goswami. So Goswami is one who is completely he has given himself to in Lord's service. So he was, and we know specifically Vrindavan, we know in winter how it is. It becomes so cold. So when we go to stay there, when sometimes when there is hot water is not there, it's big commotion. But they were sleeping under different trees. There was no any special arrangements. That's how the Goswamis were leading their lives, and then he was very much into the worship of the Shrilas. So once he felt, Gopala Bhatta Goswami, he felt that it would be nice, if the deities could be decorated. But well, I have the Shrilas. So in Shrilas you cannot, put crown and then do different ornamentation like that. Well, very much in line with this, there was once one very rich person, probably a businessman. He came to meet Gopala Bhatta Goswami, and we know the great Goswamis, whatever he offered to them, what do they do with that? So he offered him very nice garments, and then some crown and some ornaments. So Gopala Bhatta Goswami thought that how I am going to use this. So he expressed little desire that it would be nice if this could be offered to the deity. So as usual, every day he was doing his puja, he was doing his arati, he was offering his bhog and like that. And then that day evening he gave rest to the deities, and next day morning when he came, he opened the cloth, and when he saw the self-manifested deity, the Lord with beautiful form, with unique features. He showed himself to Gopala Bhatta Goswami. So immediately Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami came to the place, and then they were also, everybody was struck to see the beauty of the deity, and they immediately named him as Radha Raman. Actually, Srimati Radharani is also there, but she is invisible. One cannot see. Even now, when someone goes to Vrindavan, you can see next to Ramana, there is a crown will be placed. So that signifies the presence of Srimati Radharani. Well, I don't remember, there was quite some explanation that was given in one of the Shravan Kirtan camp. We had Padmanabha Goswami comes in the Parampara, Guru Maharaj and Padmanabha Goswami. There were many other pastimes which was narrated. So I don't remember, the class was in Hindi. So that they, Sanatana Goswami had, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami had named the deity as Radha Raman. So Ramana, one who gives pleasure to Srimati Radharani. That's the name of Ramana. And yeah, so there are quite some, this deity is very special for various reasons. One of the reasons is that, as I had mentioned, that along with the with Ramana, there is Srimati Radharani, a silver crown is placed. And yes, although we cannot see her, but those who have vision can see. And also there are very special features of the deity. It is those at opportunity they can see. If you ask the pujaris, sometimes they may show. It says that even the fingernails are seen in the deity, and also the teeth is visible, and also the backside of the Ramana deity, you can see that the original form of the Shaligrama from Shaligram Shila, from where the deity was manifested. It is mentioned that. And another special thing that was mentioned is that there are two personalities who never left Vrindavan. One is Vrinda Devi and another one is Radharaman deities. So all other deities when during the specifically when Aurangzeb and his party were attacking, all other deities went to Jaipur and other places, but these two deities they stayed back in Vrindavan. So he after that very intimately he started worshipping. And also there is a great tradition, and even now today up to the present day in Vrindavan, we all know the exceptional deity standards, deity worship standards that we can see in Radha Raman temple. And there is also a little history about how Gopal Bhatta Goswami once went to Haridwar, and when he wanted to return back, there was a heavy downpour, there was such a heavy rainfall, so they were not able to move. So he went and took shelter in the house of one Brahmana. One Brahmana very kindly accommodated him, and seeing the effulgent personality as Gopala Bhatta Goswami, this Brahmana served him and he begged for a boon. He asked him that, I don't have a child, but please bless me that I can get a child, and I want him to be completely engaged in Krishna's service. I don't want, and I want to send him to you. That was what he requested. And eventually, after some time, after one day in Vrindavan, there was a young boy who came to meet Gopala Bhatta Goswami, and he said that, my father sent me. I am from Haridwar. My father sent me. Please remember, some time back. So then this boy came, and then he wanted to dedicate his life in the service of Gopala Bhatta Goswami, and Gopala Bhatta Goswami in turn he trained him in worshipping his deity. So his name is called as Gopinath, and also his brother got inspired by his brother. I think his name is Damodar. He got inspired by Gopinath, and he also came to Vrindavan. So he took shelter of this Gopinath, and then both of them they engaged in the deity worship. And it is also mentioned that this brother took Diksha from Gopinath. So from that time, the whole family traditions are there. They were very we can see the Goswami tradition. So as I mentioned, the current personality Padmanabh Goswami and his son, they were all very much into the worship, and they are well read in the scriptures also, and they know the details of how to worship. And we can also see how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada, they themselves had, they were very cordial, specifically the Goswami families in Radharaman, they were very cordial with the devotees, and specifically Srila Prabhupada's disciples were also encouraged on that. And also we can, even today when you go to Vrindavan, you can see there are a lot of cultural performances that also you can see there. So many people come and sing for the deities, so many musical instruments are played for the pleasure of the deities. All those things happen in Vrindavan, and they are very famous for that, to establish the culture and also the worship of the deities. And specifically in terms of the contribution by Srila Gopala Bhatta Goswami, As I mentioned before, that I would speak about it a little later. Krishna's Kaviraja Goswami, he mentions that when Krishna's Kaviraja Goswami was seeking blessings from all the Goswamis, when he came to Gopal Bhatta Goswami, similar to how Loknatha Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he said that you please don't mention about my name in your work. So this is one of the very exceptional qualities of great personalities. They never want to be in the limelight. Well, again, some of the acharyas, specifically for the purpose of preaching, they to establish Siddhanta for preaching, and then thinking about the parampara, and then to establish the mood and mission of the parampara, they write books, they glorify. But as we were hearing recently in the seminar, there is not even a tinge of that idea that I should be recognized. That is not at all there. The only recognition is Lord has to be recognized. The Lord has to be served. Even if there is a idea of some kind of a personal credit that they will get, they don't want that. They are not interested in that. So specifically, Gopal Bhatta Goswami mentioned that, please do not mention my name. That's why there were very few instances of about Gopal Bhatta Goswami we can see in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And also we see that he was, as we know that he is well learned and quite an expert in the study of the scriptures. So Srila Jiva Goswami, you can see in the Tattva Sandarbha introduction, he mentions the point that actually it was all the materials he needed for the Shat Sandarbhas. Actually the work was done by Gopala Bhatta Goswami, but it was not in systematic order. So Srila Jiva Goswami took it and then he put it in order and he worked it. So he pays his acknowledgement to Gopala Bhatta Goswami. So that is one of the work that he did. And also it is very well known that this Shatkriya Saradipika, so the Vaishnava manual for the samskaras, for specifically for the grahasthas, what needs to be done in the Vaishnava way. So all those things were also presented by Gopala Bhatta Goswami, and also the Hari Bhakti Vilas, all the manuscript, like the whole research work that Srila Gopala Bhatta Goswami worked on it, and then Sanatana Goswami later he took it and edited and he published it in the name of Gopala Bhatta Goswami. So these are some of his main works. And also Srila Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'll just read that small section. Yeah, I'll just read that. I'm just going to read this. When Krishna's Kaviraja Goswami took permission from all the Vaishnavas before writing Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gopala Bhatta Goswami also gave him his blessings, but he requested him not to mention his name in the book. Therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraja Goswami has mentioned Gopala Bhatta Goswami only very cautiously in one or two passages of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is from Srila Prabhupada's purport to the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Jiva Goswami has written in the beginning of his Tattva Sandarbha, a devotee from southern India who was born of a Brahmana family and was a very intimate friend of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, has written a book that he has not compiled systematically. Therefore, I, a tiny living entity known as Jiva, am trying to present the book systematically, consulting the direction of great personalities like Madhvacharya, Sridhara Swami, Ramanujacharya, and other senior Vaishnavas in the disciplic succession. In the beginning of the Bhagavad Sandarbha, there are similar statements by Srila Jiva Goswami. Srila Gopala Bhatta Goswami compiled a book called Shatkriya Saradipika, edited the Hari Bhakti Vilas, wrote a foreword to the Shat Sandarbha and a commentary on the Krishna Karanamrita, and installed the Radha Ramana deity in Vrindavana. Yeah, he also wrote a commentary for Krishna Karanamrita. So both the things that as I had mentioned in the Gauda Ganadesha Deepika, it is mentioned that his previous name in the pastimes of Lord Krishna was Ananga Manjari. Sometimes he is also said to have been an incarnation of Guna Manjari. And his two prominent disciples, one was Srinivasa Acharya and Gopinath Pujari, as we mentioned, that they took shelter of Gopala Bhatta Goswami and they engaged in his service. And also the famous work of Srinivasa Acharya, the Shat Goswami Ashtakam, in that he glorifies all the 6 Goswamis, specifically dedicates himself to Gopala Bhatta Goswami. And just to touch upon again, to remind on the point that which is very much applicable to us, that specifically as neophytes in our practice of Krishna consciousness, we always have the tendency to be recognized, but we can see from all these great personalities how, as we were hearing the other day, that how Srila Jiva Goswami, so his intention was to, when Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were apparently defeated by this Digvijay Pandit. So Srila Jiva Goswami's only intention was to expose the foolishness of this Digvijay Pandit. Otherwise, he was not interested to show that how great he is or like that. So then we also see how Raghunath Dasa Goswami, how when he was engaged in the service of the Lord also, he was also feeling himself very, very meek and humble. And he never wanted to put himself in a front line. So that's one thing. And then also Sanatana Goswami, how he chastised that I think it was Raghunath Das Goswami, and also one time Rupa Goswami as well, that that we cannot take service from Srimati Radharani, although it was her own will that she appeared. But actually this really sets the mood of the glory of the great Vaishnavas, how they are always, by their body, mind and words, always wanted to glorify the Lord and His pure devotees. They never want, and that is the whole Vaishnava way of looking at things. And also this is there in all the sampradayas. Also there is one other thing that is mentioned, how there is one great Sri Vaishnava Acharya by name Ananta Acharya. So he also mentions a point that he gives an example of the salt. When you cook, you make preparations. So the preparation is very tasty. So nobody says that, oh, you put very nice proportion of salt. Nobody is going to say that, and nobody knows that there is actually the salt gives such a taste inside that nobody is recognized. So he says that a Vaishnava is like that. Nobody knows, that he comes, does the service and everything, but he never wants to be in the limelight. So this is one lesson that we can learn. Because of course in our neophyte status we have this tendency that oh, he has to, I did this, I did that. I just remember that one incident also, that there was one Ratha Yatra. After the Ratha Yatra there were some photos, and we were in the other temple. There were so many in the notice board, so many photos had mentioned, were there, so many photos were displayed. So one devotee came and then he was very upset. His photo was not there. Oh, they put this devotee's photo, that devotee's photo, this is there, that is there, why my photo is not there? It's all complete neophyte mentality actually. What is there? As we were hearing recently also, just again this point comes to my mind. That Gokul was mentioning the point that how Srila Prabhupada, they established ISKCON. Even now we go to many places, everybody knows the word Hare Krishna. But who knows about Srila Prabhupada? And of course, it is as Prabhupada Anugas, it's our duty to glorify Srila Prabhupada and Epe Jash Gushik Tribhuvana. We need to glorify about him. But you can see how the Acharyas were, they never took credit for themselves. And in fact, that was one of the greatest point of Srila Prabhupada's glory, that he never took credit for himself. He said that if at all there is any credit, it goes to my spiritual master, because only by his mercy I could establish this. So this is a very important lesson. So on this day we offer our prayers, as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays in his song, Shakti Buddhi, Ami Ati Dino, Koramore Atmashata, Jogyata Vichara Kichu Nahi Pai. If we examine ourselves, that is a reality. It's not that, actually, I have this qualification, that qualification. We actually have no qualification. So it is just by the mercy of the Acharyas we are engaging in this service, we got an opportunity to chant the holy name, we got an opportunity to associate with devotees. So we should be eternally indebted, we can never repay this debt. So life after life we have to engage in serving these great personalities. So we'll stop here. Do you have any questions or any realizations or any point? Anybody wants to add something? Thank you very much. Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami ki Jai. Hare Krishna.